St. Augustine commentary on the Gospel of John, chapter 12 following. Lay to heart our Lord's example while living with man upon earth. Why had he a money bag who was ministered unto by angels, save to intimate that his church was destined thereafter to have her repository for money? Why gave he admission to a thief, save to teach his church patiently to bear with thieves? But he who had formed the habit of abstracting money from the bag did not hesitate for money received to sell the Lord himself. But let us see what answer our Lord gave to such words. See, brethren, he does not say to him, "You speak so on account of your thievishness." He knew him to be a thief, yet did not betray him, but rather endured him and showed us an example of patience in tolerating the wicked in the church. Then said Jesus to him, "Let her keep it against the day of my burial." He announced that his own death was at hand. But what follows? "For the poor you have always with you, but me you will not have always." We can certainly understand "the poor you have always." What he has thus said is true. When were the poor wanting in the church? But me you will not have always. Why, what does he mean by this? How are we to understand "me you will not have always"? Don't be alarmed. It was addressed to Judas. Why then did he not say "you will have," but "you will have"? Because Judas is not here a unit. One wicked man represents the whole body of the wicked. In the same way as Peter, the whole body of the good, ye, the body of the church, but in respect to the good, for in Peter's case there were no sacramental symbol of the church, the Lord would not have said to him, "I will give unto you the keys of the kingdom of heaven. Whatsoever you shall loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven, and whatsoever you shall bind on earth shall be bound in heaven." Matthew 16:19. If this was said only to Peter, it gives no ground of action to the church. But if such is the case also in the church, that what is bound on earth is bound in heaven, and what is loosed on earth is loosed in heaven. For when the church excommunicates, the excommunicated person is bound in heaven. When one is reconciled by the church, the person so reconciled is loosed in heaven. If such then is the case in the church, Peter, in receiving the keys, represented the Holy Church. If then in the person of Peter were represented the good in the church, and in Judas' person were represented the bad in the church, then to these latter was it said, "But me you will not have always." But what does it mean, the not always, and what the always? If you are good, if you belong to the body represented by Peter, you have Christ both now and hereafter, now by faith, by sign, by the sacrament of baptism, by the bread and wine of the altar. You have Christ now, for you will have him always, for when you have gone hence, you will come to him who said to the robber, "Today shall you be with me in paradise." Luke 23:43. But if you live wickedly, you may seem to have Christ now, because you enter the church, sign yourself with the sign of Christ, are baptized with the baptism of Christ, mingle yourself with the members of Christ, and approach his altar. Now you have Christ, but by living wickedly, you will not have him always. It may be also understood this way: the poor you will have always with you, but me you will not have always. The good may take it also as addressed to themselves, but not so as to be any source of anxiety. For he was speaking of his bodily presence. For in respect of his majesty, his providence, his ineffable and invisible grace, his own words are fulfilled. Lo, I am with you always, even to the end of the world. Matthew chapter 28, verse 20. But in respect of the flesh he assumed as the Word, in respect of that which he was as the Son of the Virgin, of that wherein he was seized by the Jews, nailed to the tree, let down from the cross, enveloped in a shroud, laid in the sepulchre, and manifested in his resurrection, he will not have him always. And why? Because in respect of his bodily presence, he associated for 40 days with his disciples, and then, having brought them forth for the purpose of beholding and not of following him, he ascended into heaven. Acts chapter 1, verse 3, 9, and 10. And he is no longer here. He is there indeed, sitting at the right hand of the Father, and he is here also, having never withdrawn the presence of his glory. In other words, in respect of his divine presence, we always have Christ. In respect of his presence in the flesh, it was rightly said to the disciples, "Me you will not have always." In this respect, the church enjoyed his presence only for a few days. Now it possesses him by faith, without seeing him with the eyes. In whichever way then it was said, "But me you will not have always," it can no longer, I suppose, after this twofold solution, remain as a subject of doubt. Let us listen to the other few points that remain. Much people of the Jews therefore knew that he was there, and they came not for Jesus' sake only, but that they might see Lazarus, whom he had raised from the dead. They were drawn by curiosity, not by charity. They came and saw. Hearken to the strange scheming of human vanity. Having seen Lazarus as one raised from the dead, for the fame of such a miracle of the Lord's had been accompanied everywhere with so much evidence of its genuineness, and it had been so openly performed that they could neither conceal nor deny what had been done. Only think of the plan they hit upon. But the chief priests consulted that they might put Lazarus also to death, because that by reason of him many of the Jews went away and believed on Jesus. O foolish consultation and blinded rage! Could not Christ the Lord, who was able to raise the dead, raise also the slain? When you were preparing a violent death for Lazarus, were you at the same time denuding the Lord of his power? If you think a dead man one thing, a murdered man another, look you only to this, that the Lord made both, and raised Lazarus to life when dead, and himself when slain.